Hello everybody, this is Eric coming to you today with a positive message today about how to not listen to negative people even when it's members of your own family that say something thinking it's not for you, or maybe that God doesn't want that for you. Let me tell you something. They're not in your situation, they're not in your shoes, they're not what you're going through. Each and every one of us has a journey in this life. And this journey that we have is called life. But God has a journey for each and every one of us. God wants us in a different path and a different direction. God doesn't want us to follow another person's journey. God does not want us to follow someone else's journey or be in somebody else's footsteps until you've had that experience. Understand one thing, never criticize somebody because they're in a tough situation and they're trying to budget and they're trying to buy what's less. Never criticize people like that. For example, for a person who's struggling and they're buying food from Dollar Tree or 99-cent store, okay? If you're gonna criticize them because they're being cheap about it, keep in mind about one thing. You don't know what it's like to be in that person's situation or in their shoes unless you walk a mile in their shoes, okay? Another thing is that, you know what? Certain people have a different way of responding. Don't lower people to your standards. Your standards are your own standards. They're not theirs. You know, it's not yours. Your standards are your standards. Another person's standards are not yours. Another person's standards are not for you to lower yourself in. Each and every one of us has our own standards. And one thing's for sure is that we should never lower ourselves to their standards, and don't expect others to lower themselves to our standards. Okay? Because if you want them to lower themselves to your standards, there's something wrong here. Your standards are your own. Never lower yourself to their standards. Don't make people lower themselves to yours. Okay? Remember why you have your own standards. And if somebody says, if I say something negative, please don't listen to me when I'm grouchy or negative or anything. And the minute you don't listen to them and they become very angry, or they become like, oh, you don't listen to me. Well, you told me not to listen to you when you're like that. You see, another thing is, don't be a hypocrite, telling somebody one thing and then you go against your own rules. You go against your own practice. You don't practice what you preach. That's why it's truly important that I tell you is be yourself, be you, be the person that God wants you to be. Never ever lower yourself to their standards. Don't lower people to your standards. Okay? That is why I say to you this. Stay within your own standards, stay within your own path, and never, ever be someone you're not. You are your own person. And let me say another thing to married couples. Yes, you're married, two become one, but that does not mean the wife should lower yourselves to her husband's standards, or the husband lowers himself to her standards. No, you are still your own individual person. Just fight your own good fight and never give up. Support each other, yes. Support each other is very and truly important, but never, and I mean never, ever put down your spouse. Remember one thing. Never ever always guide your spouse through their head, because you know what? They're not kids. Your spouse should have the knowledge and the know-how already, and to know better how to live their lives. We are here for one reason: to learn, to love, and to grow. But remember, you're still your own individual person with your own issues, your own problems, and your own standards. And I say this: love each other, but remember, don't put down your spouse. Don't use names. Do not do any name calling to your spouse. Regardless of how much your spouse is hurting you, don't hurt your spouse back. Prove to your spouse you still love her. How? Just continue to do good to your spouse. Eventually she'll get it one day, and she'll see firsthand exactly the mistakes she's making. And yes, you know you're not perfect. Good people are not perfect. They make mistakes. They know that sometimes they don't do things that they're supposed to be doing, but it's not because they did it intentionally. It's because they just didn't know it was a mistake. And the one thing is for sure, different people have a different way of admitting to their mistakes. They won't admit right away. Some people, you got to give them time. They need to reflect. They need to see, you know, was this really wrong what I did? Because you know what? It's always easy to point the finger at somebody and say, oh, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. How do you know? I could be doing it right for all I know. That is why it's important to, you know, have your own knowledge and to acknowledge what you're doing, you know. If you're not sure about something, don't do it and ask if this is right or wrong. Don't doubt yourself. If you are your own person, you know you're all right. It's just that we live in a world too where our own siblings, our own loved ones put us down. They gossip about us, you know, just to lower our self-esteem, thinking that they're better, and they don't want you to be you. But what you don't realize something is that if you are the criticizer who criticizes others, you're only making things worse for yourself. That is why I truly say to you this: be yourself. Don't worry about others. Don't worry about what's happening in this world. Just stick to your journey that God has you on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to hear this positive message and to know that do good in this world. Never worry about others, what others think of you, because you know you're a great person. Okay? Remember, pray, eat, and love. Pray, stick with God, pray to God, love God. All right, everybody. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to this channel. Have a good day, everybody.